everyone. For those who don't know me, I'm Bronxboro President Ruben Diaz Jr. All right, that's one person who likes that. I just wanted to thank everyone for coming out during this beautiful, beautiful spring evening. Obviously, the reason why there's so many folks in this room is because we all know that this is a topic of conversation that's been going on for quite some time, that is near and dear to everyone in this room and those many, many more who could not be with us here today. I know that there's been many different conversations, and working with many of the local elected officials, working with good folks from the community board, working with individuals from the Croton Monitoring Committee, we felt that it was time that we put the community together and heard from the community. Now, a couple of things here. I have some housekeeping to do, and I do not plan to speak much for the rest of the evening. This is a hearing, and this is about listening to what you have to say. I do want to make mention that we are joined by Father Gorman, who's the chair of the CMC. Father Gorman, please pray. We're joined by Damien McShane from Community Board A. We're joined by Assemblyman Jeff Dinowitz, who's with us, my good friend. Another good friend of mine, City Council Member Oliver Coppell. We have a representation from Elliot Engel, who is in Washington, D.C., Joni Khan Yagnowitz. We're joined. Okay, thank you for being with us here. We have Parks Commissioner, Bronx Parks Commissioner, Commissioner Hector Aponte, who's with us today. And we have Deputy Commissioner Kevin McBride from the Department of Environmental Protection. And Mark Monahan as well for the Assistant Commissioner of Intergovernmental Affairs. We know that there are going to be differences of opinion here this evening. What I'm going to do is I'm going to read a statement for the record, an opening statement. We will then listen to the elected officials, the members of the CMC. Then we will have statements from the DEP, and then we will hear from the community. And what we would hope, and what I will be making sure of, is that A, we treat each other with respect. B, that we stay to a time limit for those who are testifying, so that as many people who need to be heard will be heard here this evening. I will not leave until the last person who wants to testify is heard. So I will be here even if no one else is. And this is that important to me. Obviously, is that important to those who have enlisted to testify. And so this evening, I join a wide coalition of elected officials, community organizations, and the Croton Monitoring Committee, known as the CMC, in calling on the Department of Environmental Protection to live up to their promise of pedestrian access to the perimeter of the Jerome Park Reservoir. The neighborhoods surrounding the Jerome Park Reservoir have been deprived of this beautiful treasure for far too long, despite having endured 7 years of continuous construction on one of the largest municipal projects, the Van Cortlandt Park Filtration Plant, ever constructed in New York City. In March, the DEP responded to our request for the pedestrian access promised as part of the filtration plant project. The agency's report, which was 2 years in the making, only offered consideration of a 3-day pedestrian access pilot 2 years from now. While I understand the security concerns, I believe that those concerns can be addressed well enough to allow for the public access to the Jerome Park Reservoir. I ask DEP here tonight to embrace its neighbors as a resource for even greater security by permitting our seniors and other community residents to enjoy leisurely strolls, parents with children to take entertaining walks, and the more athletically and health-conscious inspired members of our community to jog around the perimeter of the reservoir. DEP will be enhancing vigilance, not creating greater risk. The DEP even allows boating and fishing throughout the reservoir system. Why can't Bronxites enjoy the perimeter views of the Jerome Park Reservoir? The DEP's report casts a shadow of doubt on the agency's sincerity to fulfill their commitment of pedestrian access along the perimeter of the reservoir. I find it hard to believe that the DEP's labored for 2 years preparing their access report to offer a mere 3 days of access and then expect the community to wait an unspecified amount of time for an actual long-term plan to be implemented. We should use the 2 coming years before the filtration plant becomes operational to create a long-term plan for public access to the reservoir. As the DEP's report points out, Bronx civic leaders and advocates have been working with agency to achieve public access for years. The Jerome Park Conservancy was created in the mid-1990s for the very purpose of advancing plans for access. Additionally, the CMC has made access to the reservoir perimeter a priority since it was established 6 years ago. I believe my constituents have earned the right to expect a greater and more expeditious commitment from DEP to provide pedestrian access to the reservoir's perimeter. I want to recognize the DEP, the Department of Parks and Recreation's plan to provide an enhanced jogging pathway along partial length of the adjacent parklands. This partial pathway project, however, should not be construed as the fulfillment of the DEP's commitment to access along the perimeter of the reservoir. The restoration of these parklands are desperately needed and would benefit from the restoration of the natural landscape, including special plantings, more trees, and better maintenance of existing lawns and trees, and possibly some checkered tables. In closing, I want to underline for the DEP that the Jerome Park Reservoir is not only a major civic amenity for several of our West Bronx neighborhoods, but represents a historically significant part of our Bronx's heritage. The reservoir was designed, built, and opened as a reservoir park, and access should be returned to the community as it was originally intended and agreed upon by the DEP, as a reservoir with a pedestrian pathway along its perimeter. Thank you for coming out tonight. I look forward to hearing from your thoughts and how you think that we could come to some type of amicable agreement.